I'm Jordan Raynor, and this is the Word Before Work.
Today we're reading from Mark 6:31. Here's what it says. Because so many people were coming and going that the apostles did not even have a chance to eat, Jesus said to them, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." Again, that was Mark chapter 6, verse 31. Job 11:6 says that true wisdom has two sides, which is why we're exploring 5 pieces of double-sided wisdom in this series, couplets of paradoxical truths that God calls us to hold in tension. Here's today's. Enjoy self-care and embrace self-sacrifice. We see Jesus modeling the first side of this double-sided wisdom all throughout the Gospels, as he often withdrew to lonely places for some peace, quiet, and prayer. See Luke 5:16. And in today's passage, we see Jesus offering self-care to his followers. See Mark 6:31. And yet, the dominant theme of Jesus' life was not self-care, but self-sacrifice, the flip side of this double-sided wisdom. For as it says in Matthew 20:28, quote, "The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many." So, Jesus made time for self-care and he modeled self-sacrifice. How did he hold these ideas in tension? Matthew 14 offers us a case study to that end. Verses 1 through 12 record Jesus hearing the news that his beloved cousin John the Baptist had been beheaded. The first half of verse 13 tells us that, quote, "When Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat privately," end quote. Clearly, Jesus longed for self-care for his mind and soul, but the crowds wouldn't let him have it. The second half of verse 13 tells us that, quote, "Hearing of this, the crowds followed Jesus on foot from the towns," end quote. If there were ever a time when it would have been understandable for Jesus to choose self-care over self-sacrifice, it's right here in this scene. But remarkably, Jesus does not. Verse 14 says that, quote, "When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick," end quote. Many times, self-care and self-sacrifice were not at odds for Jesus. But when they did compete, he always chose self-sacrifice. You and I are called to do the same. See Matthew 20:26 through 28, Romans 12:1, and Luke 9:23. Practically, this might look like scheduling workouts before work for your own self-care, but being willing to sacrifice that workout when your spouse needs help on a difficult morning with the kids. Or prioritizing your self-care by setting clear boundaries on when you will and will not work, but being willing to sacrifice those boundaries when a hurting coworker wants to grab a drink after work. Embrace the way of Jesus today by making time for self-care. But ask God to prepare your heart to choose self-sacrifice when necessary for his glory and the good of others.
Today's devotional only scratches the surface of how God's word connects to our work. If you want to go deeper, sign up for my free 20-day devotional called The Word Before Work Foundations at twbwfoundations.com. These email devotionals are designed to help you gain a rich understanding of the biblical narrative of work, how exactly your work matters for eternity, and what those truths mean for how we ought to work today. You can sign up right now, again, for free at twbwfoundations.com.